Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we checked out Darwin's Erector Set, Random Metamorphism, An Abandoned Project, Vital Suckers, and Las Langostas Pintadas. I know that was the Painted Locust, Vital Suckers were killer lollipops, Random Metamorphism was a person who turned into other things, Darwin's Erector Set was bugs made of metal that evolve, and I don't actually remember what that was. I think Abandoned Project was the Keter level that was neutralized that changed reality. That's probably what that was. Next, in this one, we're going to be doing Dixie Funland, Landmine Cacti, Carnival of Horrors, Active Weed Control, and the Helmet of Disturbing Visions, which, like I said yesterday, it sounds pretty straightforward, but it's probably not that. Let's check out Dixie Funland. Neutralized! It's safe. It was safe, but now neutralized. I feel like they didn't really need to neutralize it if it's a safe building that you just don't go into. But anyway, the area SCP-821 is located in has been purchased by the Foundation, with a standard containment warehouse constructed around it, designated Containment Outpost 821. Daily inspections of 821's exterior structure. Yeah, okay, I said that right. It just felt weird when it came out of my face. Are to be performed by security personnel, with any significant changes being reported to the containment supervisor. Personnel are to enter 821 due to it, or no personnel are to enter not due to its structural instability. 821 is a structure located within the former town of Asheville, Florida. Records recovered from the local government indicate it was constructed sometime between 1955 and 1957. The interior is in a permanent state of degradation, with all attempts at maintenance or restoration being unsuccessful. Sounds like it was neutralized because it probably just straight up collapsed if that's the case. 821's interior contains a varying number of devices intended for children, such as a carousel, a stage with a set of 4 animatronic figures, and a variety of midway games. There are also a number of kiosks which sold food and souvenirs when 821 was active. During initial containment, these devices were fully functional. Gross. Maintenance was performed by humanoids within 821, formerly known as 821-1, who also operated the devices within 821. Instances of one were humanoid automatons composed of painted copper. This sounds like the carnival from The Wiz when they find the Tin Man. Devices contained within 821 display anomalous properties when they functioned, including models of animals that were attached to the carousel would move autonomously, animatronics were shown to be able to engage in prepubescent subjects in conversation, food and drink were produced within 821 without a source, midway games that would emit vocalizations complimenting users with high scores. Referring to the Wiz reference I made, I know the Wiz didn't happen in Florida, I'm pretty sure that happened in Philadelphia, but it still kind of reminds me of that carnival. And I don't think they walked the Yellow Brick Road all the way to Florida just to see Richard Pryor. The animatronic band was composed of 4 machines, each playing a different instrument. Once per hour, they would play a set of popular songs from between 1957 and 1960. When not playing, these animatronics could communicate with subjects observing them and were capable of conducting basic conversation. Notably, vocalizations produced in this manner were shown to be unique, with logs compiled between 1959 and 1961 showing that no conversation had been repeated. However, following Incident A, all instances of one were apparently destroyed or otherwise removed, and 821 began to exhibit rapid structural deterioration. The devices contained within 821 began to function erratically, showing much more dangerous properties than had been previously observed. In addition, 821 itself is no longer safe to enter due to its structural damage. Alterations to devices include portions of the carousel and animatronic band becoming aggressive, striking and biting any subjects that approach them. Notably, portions of 821 capable of speech were highly apologetic, offering to assist the subject that had been injured. Currently, no components of 821 capable of producing speech are functional. Incident A. On either April 11th or November 4th, 1989, personnel attempting to enter 821 found that the entrance had been sealed off and a note labeled "Out of Business" affixed to the door. Investigation into 821's interior showed that no instances of one could be located. In the center of the main floor, a letter was found. The text of the letter has been included in this report. As of probably May 16, 1999, 821 has been designated as neutralized. Hello, my friends, this is a day we've all been dreading, and I am sad to be the one who has to break the news. You've all known for a while that Funland has been having troubled times for a very long time. A very long while, and although times were rough, we always managed to pull through, but we can't do it anymore. I've seen the parks and attractions that come from the huge amusement companies, and we just can't compete. The children just aren't interested in old places like this. The skee ball, Big Bertha, Show Plaza, the carousel, they just don't care. They're bored by it. The world has moved on. I know that each of you has put a lifetime into making Funland a success, and that's the hardest thing for me. Each of you will receive a generous severance package followed by a pass to return to your home. Thank you for your service, Mr. Funland. That sounds like it's related to something, especially the thank you for your service. I can't remember what the misters were. Like, the long list of people that were called Mr. Something, Mr. Something. One of them was involved with one of the various apocalypses this website has. I feel like Mr. Funland is one of those, and that's probably what this is. It looks sure enough. It's been a long time since we had a season like the 56th season. That was the heyday. It seemed like we couldn't sell enough stuff, and everyone wore the biggest smile. We had the tourists and business folk funneled in from the new highway, and businesses could not have been better. Bertha always used to talk about all the kids she got to talk to. We had Iowans, Nebraskans, and even some folks from California. I recall a couple of Canadians on the carousel. When we closed in November, the boss said the next season will be even better. But it wasn't. When we threw open our doors the next season, the crowds didn't flow in. We had a crowd, sure, but not standing room only. We put on our best faces, though, and we made sure everyone was entertained. I made sure that everyone had a fair time at the games. Even though it wasn't the hubbub we'd had last year, it was a good season. Boss knew we were disappointed, but he tried to keep our spirits up. Next year, he said, would be the best for sure. It wasn't. We had nothing. Hardly anyone came by. The city council started to harass us about permits and taxes. Bossman said it will be taken care of, but when the constant stream of civil servants outnumbered the families, it was a bad time. At least we still had a few families then. Even if business only came at a trickle, they still visited. We weren't in the hundreds, but the dozens. When we closed up shop, Bossman said things will be better soon. Times were tough, but we were the Funland family, and we would pull through. Things changed in the 59 season. The town seemed to have dried up overnight. The Dixie Highway looked like nobody had paved it in months. There were all these people with weapons and equipment. I thought we were being shut down, but Bossman said to keep up business as usual so we could have that great season we needed. So the team kept up the happy faces. Bertha did her 2 o'clock shows, and Aaron served up his gumbo pretzel sticks. The people would come in and poke stuff, but it never brought business or the families. Sometimes they had kids in with them, sometimes with adults, but never real families. I can't even remember the last time I saw a real smiling family here. It's become so sterile. Seasons have come and gone, but nobody cares and nothing seems to change. We don't see Bossman anymore. He left a letter on the floor and walked out a while ago. The people took the letter. It's darker now. The shows don't happen anymore. If you go in the arcade, all we have is a cracked skee ball table and an empty skill crane. Everything else is broken or gone. The others have changed. Everyone seems less happy and more bitter. If a kid came in today, they'd snap him. It's not that any of them wants to do it. Nobody knows what is going to happen. If Bossman had given us a way home, maybe things would be different. We're here till he says otherwise. Sometimes I still remember the end of 56. I think we can be there again. The traffic is going to flow again, and the lifeblood of tourism will flood into this creaky old house. It'll be next year. I can feel it. Let me go back to see if I'm right about the Misters thing. Let's see. Autonomous building, ecto-entropic, neutralized, safe SP. Yeah, it's not gonna... I think it was somebody's Little Misters. I don't remember whose Little Misters it was, but I feel like Mr. Funland is one of those. So let's check out the landmine cacti, which is probably exactly what it sounds like. Specimens of 822 were contained in an isolation chamber at Biological Containment Site 103. Ooh, 103. Personnel may not approach within 5 meters of the chamber at any time. Watering and soil conditioning are to be done via automated systems, and any maintenance work must be done remotely with robotic assistance. Description: SCP-822 is a species of cactus similar in appearance to Lophophora williamsi, the peyote, but with significant differences as the plant reaches maturity within a period of approximately 30 days. As it nears maturity, a large gas sac forms within the center of the plant as it reaches its typical maximum dimensions of approximately 10 centimeters in height and 25 centimeters in diameter. This sac is filled with volatile gases including blank, and several substances unique to 822. At the same time, the skin hardens until it reaches a point not unlike sheet metal, and seeds begin to form just under the skin. Once the plant is fully mature, it flowers and begins exuding a pheromone that serves to attract mammals of sufficient mass to trigger its anomalous property. Through an unknown mechanism, whenever any living creature of sufficient mass, approximately 8 to 20 kilograms, approaches within 3 meters, the central portion containing the gas sac violently detonates, causing shrapnel-like shards of its skin to fly through the air with the greatest of ease. These fragments are capable of embedding themselves into the skin and flesh of any living creatures nearby, which carry the seeds of H-22 away. Living creatures struck by these fragments do not die from physical trauma, or that don't die from physical trauma, eventually succumb to a potent neurotoxin synthesized by the fragments within 3 to 6 hours. Dang. H-22 was first discovered at a military proving ground near Redacted. It was reported to the Foundation after 3 personnel were killed when they drove a vehicle near a large patch of H-22, and a 4th managed to return to base before dying. Expiring. They died. Subsequent investigations of the infested area turned up hundreds of specimens of H-22, as well as the corpses of dozens of animals that had wandered into the area and been killed, some of which had H-22 growing directly from their bodies. After sample specimens were collected, the entire area was subjected to firebombing, incinerating all remaining H-22 in the area. Experiment Log 1. Record of experimentation performed to determine limits of triggering mechanism for H-22. On blank blank blank, disposable 9912, almost said 1924, what the heck? Subject equipped with a military-grade bomb suit and instructed to approach H-22. H-22 detonates as they approach within precisely 3 meters. The shock sensors record a blast as equivalent to the detonation of a blank blank landmine. The subject suffers injuries consistent with being in close proximity to high explosive detonations, such as ruptured eardrums. Yikes. Robotic rover, approximately 20 kilograms in mass. Manipulation of specimen of H-22 using rover attempted. Subject successfully approaches H-22 and successfully uproots it. However, specimen is dropped while moving away, causing it to detonate. The rover was badly damaged. Subject disposable 9989. Restrained completely as to prevent any movement, a specimen is moved towards them by the rover. It detonates when brought within 3 meters. The subject survives the initial detonation but succumbs to the neurotoxin. Subject deceased. They move toward the dead body, does not detonate even when placed on the body. Disposable 10,021. The specimen of H-22 was placed against the wall of the isolation chamber designed to completely absorb all sound, vibration, and temperature fluctuation. The subject instructed to move towards H-22 while separated by a wall of isolation chamber. It detonates when they approach within 3 meters, minimal damage to the isolation chamber, no harm to subject. Apparently, H-22 is capable of detecting living creatures within its trigger radius, despite not being able to see the target, detect its sounds, or feel any shifts in temperature. More experimentation needs to be done to determine how it does this. Probably with spooky magic. Yeah, spooky magic. Carnival of Horrors. That means this episode has 2 weird carnival-like things. We have the Dixie Funland with robots that eat people because they're angry. Or, excuse me, they snap people. They don't eat people. It's not quite Five Nights at Freddy's, but I don't know when that article was written, so who knows. So, the Dixie Funland looks even creepier. Excuse me, not the Dixie Funland. The Carnival of Horrors looks even creepier than the Dixie Funland, which makes sense since it's called that. It's Euclid, it's foggy, it's spooky, the roller coasters are rusted, there might be zombies, we'll find out. H-23 is to be secured by no fewer than 6 on-site personnel until such a time as decontamination protocols can be established and the artifact in question neutralized. Personnel must respect a 20 meter safe zone around the currently established red zone at all costs. Any individual, civilian or not, who enters the established red zone is to be terminated immediately by sniper fire. Oh. Should music or piping be heard emanating from within the red zone, Foundation personnel on site are to immediately don protective earplugs and withdraw from their position to a 2-kilometer perimeter beyond the currently established yellow zone, and inform Foundation scientific personnel immediately. Following the realignment event, Foundation science personnel will survey the area and determine the boundaries of the new red and yellow zones using procedure 823-1 alpha. Part of me feels like they should just go in with the earplugs, but it sounds like they need to be able to hear it start so that they can warn people. Due to the necessity of maintaining auditory alertness, yep, no personal music devices or radios aside from necessary equipment are to be allowed at the observation site. Description. I don't like how that looks. H-23 is an abandoned theme amusement park located in blank blank. Site was abandoned in blank after several violent events resulting in the deaths of park attendees. A complete list of said events is included in 823-113. Civilian deaths attributed to 823. Is that here? I don't think it's here. H-23 was finally abandoned after the events of blank blank blank, also known as Bloody Sunday, when the influence of the artifact in question reached a 20-year peak. 231 attendees were killed, and another 7 injured or maimed. A complete list of casualties is included in Supplement 823-114, civilian deaths resulting from Event 823-99 Euclid, but include 2 individuals, male and female, fused together at multiple points after emerging from the Tunnel of Love Dark Ride, dead. 1 individual wearing a Happy Hippo mascot uniform found dead of suffocation. Mouth, trachea, and lungs were discovered to be filled with a fibrous substance later determined to be identical to the stuffing in said mascot uniform, dead. 15 individuals recovered from the Thriller Chiller roller coaster, all decapitated by blunt force. Witnesses reported that the deaths did not occur simultaneously but in groups of 2, starting with the front row seats and ending with the back. Forensic analysis indicates that each set of deaths corresponded to a loop or turn in the roller coaster's tracks, dead. 1 individual recovered from under the Thriller Chiller roller coaster, dead of broken neck and massive cranial trauma caused by a 50-foot fall from an inverted position. I feel like they were dead of just the broken neck and probably not also the massive cranial trauma, because no matter which one hit first, when they hit the ground, they died. Individual was seated at the back of said roller coaster and somehow managed to extricate self from the ride safety harness halfway through the ride, dead. 1 individual found dismembered inside the House of Mirrors attraction. Left arm was found 16 feet to the north from the torso. Left leg found inverted and attached to the ceiling by sinews. Right leg found in the possession of Subject 79, partially consumed. Forensic analysis indicates that the teeth marks found on flesh and bone of said leg are human in origin. To date, no trace of right arm has been found. Alive! For a complete record of casualties, please see Supplement 14, Civilian Deaths Resulting from blah 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 blah, which probably is not here. Following said event, Foundation Mobile Task Force Row 71, Origami Toads, was sent into the site to assess the situation and carry out containment procedures. Row 71 was not successful in determining the cause or location of the deaths due to casualties inflicted on team members. Casualties among MTF Row 71 resulting from Event 823-99 Euclid. Partial list of casualties include the commander, suicide caused by forced sexual entry through left eye, resulting in unsurvivable brain trauma. What? 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 How was that statement suicide? Ha! Agent blank blank. Cause of death. Suicide. Individual was found with ammunition disassembled, casings and bullets discarded. Blank grams of propellant consistent with the amount of disassembled ammunition found on the scene were retrieved from the individual's stomach and intestines. So they took apart their guns and ate what makes them go boom. Agent blank blank. Cause of death, suicide. Individual discovered with lacerated lungs and broken jaw. Missing teeth were retrieved from individual's lungs and trachea. These are not things that cause suicide. These are very clearly murder. That's not how that works. Nobody can commit suicide by getting skull fucked. That's not how that works. The only one that makes sense is the drinking of what makes bullets go boom. Broken jaw and lacerated lungs cannot be done to yourself to the point that you die from it. And neither can this. Nothing about this can be done to yourself to the point that you die. Unable to determine the context or content of above photograph. I was trying really hard not to curse in this episode, I apologize. For complete record of casualties, see supplement. None of these things are here. None of them. Stop it. Following the deaths of 50% of the Mobile Task Force personnel, on-site supervisor ordered an immediate mission abort. Containment protocol was switched from retrieval to on-site securement. Standard media blackout procedures were carried out, including data expunged. Addendum 1. Destruction of site. Per O5 level order, request for immediate destruction of the site by airstrike led by MTF New Hammer Down is denied due to proximity to civilian population, lack of plausible cover story scenario, and unknown nature of the artifact in question. Regarding the red zone, as of this date, 823 has undergone 3 realignment events requiring resurveying of affected zones. Apparent range of red zone has increased by 5% during that time. The rate of expansion appears to be accelerating at a linear rate. See Report 7, result of 7th survey of 823. Request upgrade to Keter. Denied by O5 Council, reason insufficient data to justify reclassification. Other popular works by this author. What? What? That was not a prompt that this website had yesterday, I don't think. For a list of all the works by this author, click here. Collaborations with other authors. Name. Last edited December 18th. I've not seen any other articles do that. But this person wrote Dr. Clef's proposal and a whole bunch of these things. Yeah, so if y'all are writing Dr. Clef stuff, I guess that could be why you decided to try to pass off this as suicide or this as suicide, but that's not how it works. It's just not. It's called the Carnival of Horrors. It's a carnival that very clearly kills people. I don't know what possessed you to try to pass these things off as suicide when it's very early established that it definitely is the carnival definitely killing people. Why even do that? Ugh. Active weed control. Euclid ulterior. What the heck? What does that mean? 18 specimens of 824 and 2 specimens of 824-1 are to be kept at a dedicated greenhouse at Site 41. No other plants are to be planted in this greenhouse. 50 kilograms of dead plant matter are to be provided to each specimen weekly. Research Site 824 has been established on Blank Island, Japan, with the intent of studying the interaction between residents and 824-1, along with the culture and history of the island in general. The Foundation has absorbed the local government's disinformation and counterintelligence activities in lieu of full-scale removal of 1 from the island. This is intended to minimize the Foundation's impact on the civilian population of the island. Description: SCP-824 is a species of tree that is characterized by significant mobility and herbivory. So the trees walk around and eat plants? Because that's what that sounds like. While 824 specimens superficially resemble members of that family, 824s radically differ from any known species of plant, due to the fact that it walks around and eats plants, probably. Each specimen is capable of bending its trunk, roots, and branches at any point along their length at a rate of no more than 360 degrees per hour, averaging 30 degrees per hour. Sections of 824 remain rigid while moving, and specimens are as difficult to bend as typical trees. The branches will move at random, primarily at ground level, until they come into contact with living or recently dead plant matter. Should this occur, nearby branches and roots of 824 will wrap tightly around the plant matter in question, then retract in an attempt to strip it from the main body, or pull the plant in its entirety to 824 at a rate of approximately 0.5 meters per hour. In this process, 824 will strip portions of a plant from the main body if necessary. The roots will maintain a hollow opening under 824 up to 3 meters deep, containing a large number of roots less than 3 centimeters in diameter. These roots will, if possible, gather and take hold of stones or similar objects of various sizes. In the absence of suitable stones, 824 will be unable to derive sufficient nutrition from plant matter and will cease its attempts to consume plants until stones are provided. I guess it grinds them up? Upon plants being procured by the branches, that will be passed down into this area. The roots will use the stones to grind the plants into a powder, from which the roots are then able to derive nutrients, water, and minerals. While 824 gains sustenance from this act, the ultimate caloric gain is typically only marginally greater than that 824 gains from photosynthesis. It is surmised that these behaviors evolved primarily as a means of removing vegetation from the area surrounding 824. Addendum: notable biological characteristics. See Document C for further information. 824 has superficial traits that initially led Foundation scientists classifying it as a member of the Ginkgosia family that simply happen to exhibit anomalous properties. However, genetic analysis of 824 has shown that it is only distantly related to other trees. Their similar appearances are believed to be a result of convergent evolution, given their similar locations, but this is unconfirmed. 824 contains a novel type of xylem tissue that allows for rapid transportation of water in order to expand and contract different portions of it at a rapid pace. This is responsible for 824's characteristic rapid movement. It is believed that several previously unknown auxins that have been extracted from 824 may assist in this effect. However, their exact functionality is not known fully at this time. In order to allow for greater freedom of movement, 824 has thin, flexible bark that is easily damaged by sharp objects. Due to this and its lack of natural defenses from pathogens, 824 is highly susceptible to infection and infestation. Recovery. A24 was found in SCP blank, an extra-dimensional self-contained region accessible from a point in southern China in 1972. Upon discovery, it was host to 8 anomalous species of plant and animals, including A24. It used to say due to the properties of SCP blank, A24 had not spread outside this area. Now it says although specimens removed from blank have remained viable. It is believed that A24 evolved naturally in blank. While a large portion of blank's terrain is covered in kudzu, A24 specimens remain clear of the vine, apparently due to their ability to actively remove large plants from their trunks and consume them. A24 appears to have a comparative advantage over several non-anomalous species of ginkgo found in blank, the majority of which were struggling under the conditions there. All instances removed from SCP blank were free of pathogens and insects. Addendum. In 2011, several specimens of A24 were found outside of containment on Blank Island, Japan. The behavior of these specimens has led to them being classified as a separate subspecies of A24, hereby referred to as 1. Records recovered from the island have uncovered references to farmer trees dating since 1937. All 1 specimens were located in 4 apple orchards on Blank Island. There, instead of consuming all plant matter within reach, 1 will feed exclusively on weeds and dead plants, leaving living apple trees entirely untouched. Upon encountering a ripe apple, 1 will gently grasp it and remove it from the branch, lowering the branches, now holding the apple to roughly 1.5 meters off the ground until it is removed. 1 will then consume any apples that are infested, rotten, or unfit for human consumption. The means by which 1 is able to accurately determine whether apples are edible is unknown. Residents of Blank Island have not been cooperative with Foundation personnel and generally react with suspicion to inquiries about or studies of 1. Further research into the relation between 1 and the residents of the island is warranted. I mean, if it's a bunch of trees making sure they always have healthy apples that never get messed with by weeds, I'd want it left alone too. The Helmet of Disturbing Visions is safe. Of course it is. At least 2 Foundation members must be present for any interaction with the Helmet of Disturbing Visions. 1 member must be designated monitor and remain at least 2 meters from 825 at all times. If accidental application occurs, the monitor should notify the security team. The monitor must not attempt removal of 825 without supervision. It is recommended that test subjects should not have 825 applied for more than 180 minutes. Any experiment involving longer application must have security team present for removal, as test subject may behave unpredictably. 825 is a standard-sized helmet of medieval design. The degree of wear is consistent with this dating, provided 825 has been well cared for. This is entirely probable as it was liberated from data expunged. Despite frequent use data expunged, how long the group had been in possession of 825 as the only surviving members were not present when data expunged, and has itself been designated SCP blank. Efforts are still in place to track down anyone else involved in the incident. SCP-825 has the property of inducing visions in anyone who wears it. Testing indicates that 825 does not need to be worn on the head, but that insertion of any part of the body within the volume enclosed by the helmet will count as application. Upon application, the subject will be unable to move any part of their body below the neck until 825 is removed. During application, the subject will be unable to see, feel, or otherwise sense their surroundings, with the exception of sounds which the subject will hear as muted and distant. The subject will also experience highly convincing visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile and nociceptive hallucinations. I'm not sure what these last 3 things mean. The form and nature of the hallucination varies depending on the subject. The only common element is the disturbing and unpleasant nature of the hallucinations, focusing on the subject's phobias and neuroses. Addendum A. The subject is invariably highly motivated to be removed from 825 and will go to great lengths to avoid repeat application. When it's removed, the subject remains physically unharmed, although, depending on the duration and nature of the exposure, may suffer from PTSD or mental breakdown. Frequent prolonged exposure results in total mental breakdown and insanity. Experimental log, please include test subject ID and any pertinent biological or psychological information as well as test results. All tests are of a duration of 30 minutes unless otherwise stated. All subjects whose psychological profile indicates distinctive paranoias, phobias, or neurosis are earmarked as potential 825 subjects. So, date blank blank 2000 something, disposable 14/7/29, first test subject. Reported an initial period of blackness before vision returned, responded to questions but complained that it was difficult to hear. After 10 seconds they began screaming and demanded to be released. When questioned, his only response was, "They're cutting me! They're cutting me! Get me out!" When informed that he would remain until the question was answered, the subject hurriedly described the hooded figures who were slowly dismembering him. Further detail of the vision was provided after the experiment. Additional comments. The effects of 825 is much as expected from reports provided by data expunged, though this currently remains a theory. Okay. Disposable 14783. Profile indicates they had a near-death experience from falling into a frozen lake as a child. They described being trapped in a small room slowly filling up with water. After 10 minutes, they became unresponsive to questioning. They discussed removing 825 when he resumed speaking, describing the room now filling with icy cold water. The process was repeated with foul and polluted water. Each time, the subject grew more agitated. Process repeated with blood and then liquid excrement. After 317 minutes, subject no longer responded to questioning. 825 was removed. He remained unresponsive and was terminated after a 7-day observation period. Additional comments. The escalating pattern is clear, as is the focus on the subject's personal phobias. 14791. They suffer from arachnophobia. Unexpectedly, the subject experienced a vision of being sexually assaulted by several former cellmates. Subsequent investigation revealed that such an attack occurred during a previous incarceration. 825 was removed for 10 minutes and then the subject was informed that it would be reapplied. The subject answered intimate questions and followed demeaning instructions in a frantic attempt to prevent reapplication. Reapplication resulted in a similar vision except all participants were now covered in spiders. After removal, the subject damaged restraints in his attempt to escape and was sedated. The containment facility is now outfitted with stronger restraints. Experimental animal, probably dog. Oh, right, adult canine. 825 applied for 90 seconds. The subject displays considerable discomfort and cowers from 825 after removal. When restrained and approached with 825, the subject became highly aggressive, later terminated without further experimentation. This confirms it is also effective on non-humans. Requests submitted for talking bird or signing ape for further experimentation. Technician and security personnel accidental application. The circumstances of application are unknown, but both subjects were discovered holding 825 with their fingers just inside the rim. Their position suggests that blank was the first to be exposed and that blank was exposed in the attempt to remove 825 from him. It is estimated that subjects were exposed for 9 hours before discovery. Both were unresponsive. Containment procedures updated to prevent a similar incident recurring. In subsequent experimentation, 825 will be applied to some other appendage rather than the head, so that facial expressions of subjects may also be monitored. Disposable 14827, sentenced for 4 counts of homicide, the earliest being his father, who was suspected was abusive. They have 2 younger sisters who he is fiercely protective of. See history of violent incidents with other inmates resulting from insults from his family. It was predicted that the subject would likely relive an incident of abuse against himself or his family by his deceased father, whom the subject greatly feared. While this was broadly the case, the subject found himself in the position of the attacker, unwillingly committing a series of increasingly violent physical and sexual attacks against his mother and 2 sisters. Subject was discovered in his cell the next morning, having committed suicide. While 825 does not directly cause physical harm, clearly the mental effects can result in indirect harm. Care must be taken in the post-processing of subjects, particularly those of continuing value. 14833. Profile indicates suffers from musophobia and possesses low levels of intelligence and imagination. As expected, reported perceiving confinement in a room with several rodents. When asked if he was being bitten, he replied, "No, wait, now they are." Further suggestions as to how the vision could be worse: large rats being restrained, being confined in a tiny box filled with rats, the rats being attacking his eyes and jets, were all subsequently introduced into the subject's vision after a short delay. While it may be possible for the sequence to be a natural progression similar to that experienced by other subjects, there's a significant correspondence in the timing of the suggestions to their inclusion. It seems that the visions are related to the subject's ability to conceive of the scenario. The escalation may be the natural consequence of the subject speculating on ways in which their situation could be worse. In the case of 14833, the subject was unimaginative enough that such speculation did not occur until prompted. 856. Subject was sedated prior to application, removed before consciousness was regained. They reported disturbing nightmares but did not seem to be affected as previous subjects. They did not recognize 825 and did not resist application. They reacted normally and displayed the usual reaction afterwards. It seems that the visions still occurred during unconsciousness, but the unconscious mind is less affected. D148MSN03, mentally subnormal. When questioned about his initial experience, subject responded that there were people being mean to him. Promptings and suggestions were able to affect the nature of the visions to a degree. However, the subject was unable to comprehend anything but the simplest suggestions. Thus, advanced scenarios did not manifest. The test seems to confirm that the active role that the subject's own imagination plays in determining the nature of the visions, which are limited to that which the subject can conceive. 873 indicates they suffer from ophidiophobia? Rather than a snake-related vision as predicted by the subject's profile, he was instead found himself torturing a number of dogs in various ways. The subject was unable to explain why this should be the case. When threatened with further application, the subject confessed to an incident in his childhood. Biometrics, together with inconsistencies in the story, indicate that it was a fabrication created to avoid application. As an extension to the test on return to the general population, the subject was falsely informed that 14850 had committed acts of cruelty against dogs. 14850 was a convicted serial killer, but no evidence suggests that he was guilty of animal abuse. Later found beaten to death by subject, who was subsequently terminated. It seems that 825 is capable of exploiting psychological vulnerabilities even the subject is not aware of. It is also clear that as an interrogation tool, 825 suffers from the same risk of false confessions as all other advanced interrogation techniques. A lab rat, Rattus norvegicus, Sprague Dolly strain, female at 7 months, bred for docility and ease with handling. Turned upside down and the subject was placed within. They immediately began convulsing and spasmodically voiding its bowels and bladder. After 15 seconds of convulsions, it died. Necropsy indicates that the subject died of a massive heart attack caused by adrenaline surge. Further experiments with Sprague Dolly rats had similar results, with median exposure time before cardiac failure being 9.32 seconds. The Wistar strain is known for being more active than most other strains of lab rats. Turned upside down, placed within. The test subject immediately voided its bowels and bladder, then began distress vocalizations and biting motions. After 15 seconds, the 825 was turned right side up. Upon retrieval, the test subject immediately began biting research assistant blank through his glove, causing serious damage to his index finger before being flung across the room and dying on impact with the opposing wall. Further experimentation with Wistar rats revealed that exposure to 825 consistently leads to drastically heightened aggressiveness in survivors, with social grooming activities being reduced or eliminated. Cannibalistic infanticide is ubiquitous. All test subjects have died of heart attack immediately upon second exposure. Subject, Earthworm, 14 months. 825 turned upside down and the test subject was placed within. After 15 seconds, it was turned right side up. Upon retrieval, subject manifested no discernible behavioral changes. Necropsy revealed no differences in brain structure before test subject and a control subject. This is significant progress. We seem to have found a lower limit beyond which this SCP is ineffective. I wonder what made them decide to use earthworms. In any case, that does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the next episode, we'll be checking out Draws You Into the Book, The Soup, whatever this is, Bloodthirsty Nail Polish, and Inky Quicksand. If you liked it, a like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.